This is Q coming to you with an important message. The Diamond Orders want this kept quiet, but you deserve to know there's something happening up in Alaska. They say it's an Atlantis, or a verge similar to Atlantis. You've got to get there, you've got to check it out. Just listen to what our agent's testimonial has to tell us.
Transcript from the interview on December 25th, 2021 at 5 p.m. Location, undisclosed. Interviewer, Optic of the Free Council. Interviewee, Klaas, Vaak of the Free Council. Interviewer's note. This interview was taken one day after the expedition team was recovered from the woods outside of Anchorage. The interview was conducted in English. Klaas, I know you want to find Hermanubis, but this is important too. You know that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here right now.
They are called Tempest now, and I should be out there looking for them.
Get it. I really do. Look at it this way. The sooner we're finished here, the sooner you can go and look for Tempest.
Okay, let's get this over with.
Thank you. Let's start with when you entered the city. What did you see?
Everything was magic. It hurt my sight when I looked at it through the lens of Prime Arcanum. The whole city was infused with magic. Eclipse said that it was the spirit of the Aurora Borealis, molded into its current form by outside powers. There was a casino of sorts. No, it was maybe more of a game hall. When I filtered my sight through the lens of the Arcanum of Forces, something caught my eye. There was a huge amount of electrical power running through the city, and there was a data network. The whole thing had a techno organic feel to it.
Hmm. So, you had technology?
Yes, it was tech fused with awakened magic. As far as I could tell, it was far more advanced than anything we have.
Interesting. This tech is theoretically possible. The inhabitants of this alleged Echo Atlantis had such arcane tech. Yeah, could mean we're on the right track.
Alleged?
Yeah, we need to investigate this more thoroughly in order to confirm if it was really what you and the others say it was.
I see you think I'm not being objective?
Reality is a subjective experience. I didn't mean to offend you, but to hear about the city of Atlantis popping up in Alaska, well, I think a certain level of skepticism is warranted. Now, what happened in the game hall?
Well, Eclipse and Catalyst talked to the locals, and I was trying to identify any threats to the others. Then Linda appeared, Ruin's late wife. This is when the trouble started, though I did not know it at the time.
Hmm. Do you think it was really his wife?
I don't know for certain, but now that I had some time to think, I think it could have been a denizen of the city that tried to help Ruin, using the image of his wife to guide him. Whatever the truth is, she seemed generally concerned about his well being.
So, you think that the people in the city were real?
I guess that the city and its denizens were real, or an echo of the real thing sent through time and space.
Hmm. This doesn't clear things up. Maybe we should move on. Please tell me what happened next.
We learned that there was an art competition and that Ruin was supposed to enter it. The competition was near the center of the city. This was where we met the Arbiter, who was going to preside over the art competition. This competition took place in the underworld. The contestants went in first, then the spectators were led in a special room with a good view on the competition. I went to watch the event with Tante Cor. Catalyst, Eclipse, and Linda stayed outside. The room of the contestants was filled with art supplies, and there were statues. The Entire thing looked grand and beautiful. Then the competition started. These orbs appeared that let the spectators see the inspiration that the artists were using to create their art. Dr. Core poked the one that belonged to Ruin and was promptly told to stop. I watched the other contestants to make sure they were not trying to undermine Ruin's efforts. I should have been watching Ruin instead. This orb turned dark when I noticed it was already too late. Ruin made a blade that had appeared in his orb. It was of the abyss. We tried to tell Ruin to focus on positive emotions, but it was too late. He touched the blade and went on a rampage. First, he killed Moonbeam, Eclipse's familiar, then several of the other contestants. By the time the building was being evacuated, that was how we lost Ruin.
How did the citizens of the city react to this?
Like any other human would, with fear and panic.
Interesting. Please, continue.
When we arrived back to the surface, everyone around us was in distress. I tried to make sure that Eclipse was okay. She just lost her familiar. Then I made a warning bulletin in the system giving our location to any who went in the city and added a warning about Ruin as well. After that, I noticed that the Arbiter and some other mages were casting a spell. After they disappeared, I figured they were going after Ruin. Thought the court, through definition, learned that Ruin was still alive and in the underworld. I asked the rest of the expedition party if they wanted to join me in an attempt to rescue Ruin, and they agreed. After trying to get the attention of panicked masses, a boy named the Innocence appeared. He told us to go to the Hollow district of the city. Maybe we could find a way to enter the underworld in that area. On the way there, we could see the ladder in the center of the city for the first time.
You saw the ladder and did not immediately investigate?
I think that lives matter more.
Oh, sorry, Klaas. Please, continue.
Uh, yeah. On the way to the Hollow district, I tried to learn more about it. I learned that it was run by Tremere. I have heard of them, some kind of left handed path in our time. I asked the others what they know about them. Dr. Core suggested that we added a warning about mining our souls. Cryptic Mysterium stuff, but I did as she asked. When we arrived, Tempest and Dragon found us. They had a bunch of special forces people with them. This is when we encountered the Sovereign. This mage was a real creep. Anyway, we were invited to go into what is best described as a huge shopping mall. After that dragon and Tempest explained to us that Beholder provided the spec ops, inside the mall we found some floating burning heads that acted as guides. One of these things directed us to a store that could have provided us a way into the underworld. If it were not for those soldiers, we could have found a way. But no, they had to blow it up. We barely escaped into the spirit realm, and only because Eclipse could open a portal for us.
I knew Beholder could not be trusted.
Wow, yeah, I wish someone had told me that earlier. Shall I continue?
Please do.
After that near death experience, the abyssal spirit that had fought the Aurora Borealis spirit forced it to manifest, made its presence known. Eclipse, with some support from the rest of us, managed to make a spirit of waves in its way stronger to hold it at bay.
And what was this abyssal spirit name?
It is best you don't know, I think.
Oh, Okay, moving on.
Ah, after that, eventually we ended up back near the city center. We were being herded by the city's inhabitants to where the ladder would be in the material plane. Each mage that was hurting us had a mask. These had technology embedded in them and somehow disconnected them telepathically. At the city center, in the shadow, we encountered the Sovereign, the Arbiter, and a new Archmaster by the name of the Consensus. These would sit in judgment over us because they thought that we were responsible for the destruction of the ball. Luckily, our own memories were our salvation. The consensus was in our minds and in the Oneiros of Tempest. I did not think such a thing was possible while awake. I encouraged them to speak to their daemon because I think that a good relationship with one's daemon is beneficial. Then Tempest lost their memory. Apparently, their daemon got them to agree to something with the consensus. Well, we were free to go. Eclipse opened a portal and we all entered the material world again. This is when I decided to download data from the city into my mobile device. Although I was not allowed to access data on the ladder, I did get the history of the city, which may be interesting.
I would like to read that very much.
When I know it's safe, I will bring it to the nearest lore house. Anyway, that is not the end of the story. A dragon was attracted to an area. I don't know why she led us to a room under the ladder where another Archmaster was waiting. Um, this one was called the Mistress, and I allowed dragon to take a. They allowed a dragon to take a boat from the dragon graveyard. She was watching over it. We each asked the mistress some questions. Then a commotion started. The wave spirit that had been overcome by the abyssal spirit, and the mistress raised us above ground and gave us a skeletal dragon to ride.
Seriously? Skeletal dragons? I would have liked to see that.
It was magnificent. Let's see what happened then. I tried to dispel the antinomian magics that were causing the tsunami. This was a mistake. The antinomian spell resisted and somehow could corrupt those that tried to cast spells on it. I could resist, but some of the city's mages were not so lucky. These were transformed into hideous monsters and turned on their fellow mages. Before we could do anything else, the city was in turmoil. This is when I asked the mistress if anyone had the magic to stop this. She said that the creator that resides halfway up the ladder could do so. So we flew up the ladder as fast as we could. When we entered, I found a steward waiting for me that would lead me to the creator. On the day there, I entered an Escher like room, and above, I saw myself being led by another steward. I talked to the other me for a few moments, then the other members of the expedition caught up with me. We entered the chamber of the creator together. The creator looked exactly like Tontakor.
Hmm. What did you make of that?
I think that it was either a future Tontakor or that the Archmaster used that appearance to gain some monogam of trust with us. In any case, we were given six obelisks and some more dragons to try and save the city. I named my dragon Toby. We quickly figured out how the obelisk works and how to best use them. Anyway, after we told as many people as we could to get to the city center, we put the obelisk in a circle around the city center, and just the right moment we activated them. These things erected a force field that stopped the tsunami from destroying the city center. Uh, Unfortunately, it also cut the ladder in half. When I thought that the city center was safe, I went back to the creator. On the way there, I was attacked despite my best efforts to keep myself and Toby undetected. We were both wounded, Toby more than me. Toby threw me into the entrance of what remained of the ladder, and he decided to pay our attackers in kind. I made it back to the creator. This time I asked for access to the data of the ladder. She cast a spell that sent the data my way. Before I could get it all, ruin struck from out of nowhere and killed the creator. Then he came to me and told me I was silly and that nothing of this was real. And then he said that if I touched the blade, the truth would be revealed to me. Well, I wasn't going to touch that abyss infested thing. So I backed off, telling him that the blade was of the abyss and that he should get rid of it. That's when Dragon arrived. Her timely intervention saved me, and I didn't even get a chance to express my gratitude.
I heard you were trying to get in touch with her. Did you have any luck?
No, not yet, but let's finish this. I'm getting tired. So there we were, Dragon and myself, when we heard over the telepathic connection that the shield was gone and another wave was coming in. After Ruin managed somehow to destroy Dragon's dragon, we decided to get out of the ladder immediately and jump on the only dragon that was near us, ridden by Core, Eclipse, and Catalyst with her baby.
Wait, wait. You didn't say Catalyst was pregnant.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention it. So much has happened the last couple of days. It is all getting a bit blurred. Who thought that sending a pregnant woman into a potentially dangerous situation was a good idea anyway? Well, I hope Catalyst will show some more responsibility in the future. Her baby could have died.
Yeah, can't say I disagree with you.
Anyway, that's when we saw the biggest wave yet looming over the city. What remained of the city's population tried to use space and time magics to get themselves to safety, and Eclipse, with a little assistance from me, opened a portal to the spirit realm again. Before we managed to enter the spirit, we saw a wave crash into Tempest and their dragon. They disappeared from view, and I lost the telepathic connection. Then Dragon got teleported by Beholder, according to Catalyst. I could not maintain that telepathic connection either. Eventually, we ended up in that clearing, and the last of the dragons started to disintegrate. Tadokor tried to preserve it. I hope that she did her magic in time. That's when we sent out the distress call, and all mages of Anchorage showed up.
I heard you were quiet when they asked you what happened. Do you mind sharing why?
I just had the worst day ever. We lost Ruin because I did not pay enough attention. Now that I've had time to think about it, the signs of his fall were all there. I failed to prevent Ruin from going down the path he did, and people are going to suffer because of it. And I failed to save the city and its people. Basically, I've been in over my head ever since I got off that plane. I feel responsible for Ruin's fall to the abyss. I just didn't feel like answering any questions at that moment. So, are we done?
Yeah, I think so. If I have any follow-up questions, I know how to reach you. And take some advice from an older mage. You don't have to shoulder the burdens of the world. Get some rest. Other people are trying to find Tempest, and if you want my opinion, you did well, considering the circumstances.
That is very kind of you to say, but that doesn't change what happened. I guess I will see you later. Goodbye.
This has been a Q transmission. Be careful out there, and remember, humanity is magical.